Thanks so much. I don't tell my students even that, by the way. It's been a great ride. I started in the 80s and I'll be talking about entrepreneurial marketing today, but this kind of combines a lot of things in my life. Was a musician, had a chemistry and zoology degree, then went a master's in statistics and then a PhD in marketing. And then I came out starting companies. And so I work in the entrepreneurship program, but I was also a pharmaceutical rep for a couple of years for Bristol Myers Corporation back in there. So this is kind of an area that I love. I mean, I still pick up, one of my favorite textbooks is still biochemistry. Isn't that amazing? And I teach marketing. But anyways, I'm going to talk about customer engagement and how did I get into this with all those things. Early in my career, when I came out of a PhD program, I was writing a lot on boundary spanner performance, and I wrote a lot of the scales and instruments we use in the industry on burnout. And so in the 80s, I was going around to companies. In fact, they called me the Grim Reaper because I'd go in and say, yeah, we think we have a burnout problem. And boy, if they thought, they did. I mean, it was really nasty. And then he said, what are we going to do about it? And then I realized, oh, maybe the solution is not so much to understand burnout, but how to get people engaged. So in 2001, I started Allegiance, and then sold. It was harvested. Merit CX bought that in 2015. It was a very nice harvest. And so during that time, I went around the world, and I would develop. At one time, I was responsible for looking how do you engage people in 30 countries for the same company. And let me tell you, that's a real challenge, right? And so I want to talk about everything that I learned. I mean, it's kind of fun to be here because even though I moved on into other areas and I'm now into sales technologies and that, I learned a lot over those 20, 30 years, and I want to share them. And it's kind of fun for me to share that because your challenge today is not just retaining talented people, but connecting them emotionally and get them excited. And as you know, we have the millennials here, and they are a challenge. They are the challenge to engage. And so, by the way, and I'll answer questions as I go through. I want this more informal. If there's too many questions, I'll cut you off. I do that all the time. So I don't have a problem with that. I mainly teach in the executive MBA groups, so it's a lot of fun, and people like you. But how do you bring out the best in people and your customers? And so I'm going to be using the term today, brand champions. So when I talk about engagement, I don't care if I'm engaging your employees or your customers, they're your brand champions. And that's how we have to look at it. How do I make brand champions? I mean, if you look at highly engaged employees and highly engaged customers, what do you see? I mean, if I asked you, just explain to me someone, when you see a highly engaged customer or even a patient or a highly engaged employee, what's this common characteristic of both of them? What's the number one? Yes. Passion. Boy, you hit it. Energy. So thank you. I mean, that's the first thing you see. I mean, it's not like you don't go into a company and go, oh, I'm trying to figure out if they're engaged or not. Just look around and see the passion and go, whoa, that's mojo. The latest company that we started, and I'll talk about that in the other breakout, this year we were recognized for generating the most revenue, the quickest ever in the state of Utah. So we do that through passion, right? Everything I learned about it not only helps in starting companies, but it helps in how you manage and how we hire the millennials and how we get them excited. And we'll talk about that today. But it is about passion. What else? So you see the passion. The passion results in relationships. Yeah, they're very good because it's kind of addictive, right? Passion begets passion. But you see it in what else? Yes.
They're happy.
Yeah, they're happy, right? And of course, happy is good, but I've seen happy, unproductive people. But they're the happy, productive people. Yes.
They view it more as a partnership, an extension.
Yeah, they're co-creators. They're co-creators. It's one of our values in our company is that we co-create, right? And that's very important for this generation. They do extra, right? I mean, let me kind of three things. And I want to talk about that. So I work on the Enterprise Engagement Alliance, which is a nonprofit organization where we measure stock prices of companies that we calculate that are highly engaged. And boy, they do about a 15% rate. So you want to invest in those. Go to the enterprise. Just invest in those companies that have high engagement. You'll see a difference in their stock performance. But what we do, and we're even now starting to work with ISO and that in looking at standards of what engagement means. So I also work at the international level to see how do we take engagement? How do we measure it? Because I'm a methodologist at the end of the day, right? And so I can tell you this, there's three things. It's a state of emotional, intellectual involvement. It's about connecting people with the heart, right? And the heart. But three things. One is, I believe. So you gotta hit their mind, you gotta hit their heart, and you gotta hit their behavior. And a lot of times, I see a lot of companies use, how they measure engagement. They'll do things like recommend your firm. That's an NPS score. But that's only a small part of engagement. I know people that recommend that aren't very productive. And so the point is, how do you create brand champions? And the answer is this. You got to get them to say, I believe. And what is it they believe? I believe my products and services are the best in class. You got them to say, I'm inspired. I do extra, right? And then I do extra. If you hit all three of those, belief, heart, and behavior, you have engaged people. And just to give you an example, when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about being truly engaged. There are many people. I was flying in an airport one time, went in, and because of the noise, I said, I'm absolutely going to spend the money today on Bose headphones. I've had enough. And, I'm going to be like the other generation, put them on, and I don't know you exist. And so I'm trying to buy them, and you don't have much time at an airport, and they're very expensive too, and I'm willing to pay the premium. And the two employees were having a great discussion. Oh, did you know what I did last night? And you could hear what they're talking about. Are they happy? Yeah, they're really happy. But the problem is they're engaged in the employees inside the company. They're not engaged with the customer. Right? And so there's a missing link. So you really got to be, I believe our product services. I'm excited about the direction and vision of the organization. You have to be that. That's the heart. And you have to engage in behaviors that contribute to the organizational success. So when I talk about engagement, I mean the customer or the employee engages in behaviors that makes the organization successful. So that's truly engage. So the future of management, I always like this quote by Gary. He says, modern organizations are motivational, crippled because they work on the idea of compliance instead of passionate performance. And what it really means is today, if you run an organization, and we realized that very early on with Exvoyant, you have to inspire people. You're not in just the doing today, you're in the inspiration business. And I've had a lot of companies tell me, well, Gary, that's not what we do. Well, okay, that's fine, but actually that's what you need to do. You have to inspire. You have to inspire your customers. You're not just marketing to your customers, you're inspiring your customers because that's the future. So we're in the inspiration business. So when you start thinking about, I'm in the inspiration business, it starts reinforcing the things you need to do as an organization. So not only inspire your brand champions inside the organization, but inspire your brand champions outside the organization. I bet that's not on your strategy often. How are we going to inspire our customers? You're trying to think, how am I going to influence them? I think the better question is, how do I inspire them? How do I make experiences legendary? How do I become remarkable? How am I, as a company, doing something that people want to remark about? And we're going to talk about that. We're coming to the realization, in order to deliver a great customer experience, you must first fill in the blank. Have a great product. That's true, but many products are so similar in the industry today. I know companies that I even think have a product that's substandard that has the most inspired people, inspired customers. But you got to have at least a certain level of product quality. Yes. Okay, right. So we're coming to realization, in order to get a great customer experience, you must first, and that's right. And your comment was? Understand them. Yeah, understand them. Absolutely. Because we got to inspire them to understand them, right? Yes. Pardon? Say it a little louder.
Create great employees.
Yeah. It's just create an engaging employee experience. at the end of the day, if you're doing all this marketing and spend a lot of marketing on marketing strategy and experiences, but inside they're not feeling it from your employees, then you'll fail. You know, it's just like I was working with AT&T, and that was during the burnout days, and they had this thing that said quality is number one. And I was doing some work inside the organization, and every time they did that, the employees say, well, it's not inside. And they were doing all kinds of nasty things in the organization because they resented it and having an external message inconsistent with the internal atmosphere at the time. Now, they've done a lot better. They come around and done a lot of great things, but the point is, that's right. But I want to take it one step further. It's do both simultaneously. So what I want to talk about today is what I've learned over the 30 years, that if I'm trying to engage people, and I know there's going to be talks about steps to engage, find the drivers of engagement, and all those things. I want to really start at a level that's fundamentally, it's a concept that I find that really works. And that is, how do you do both at the same time? How do you find tactics and strategies to engage employees at the same time you engage your customers? So I want to talk about doing both simultaneously. So developing inspired brand champions, and that's why I don't care a brand champion inside the company or a brand champion outside the company. It doesn't matter. I call them all brand champions. And so where I'm going to take you down a thing. So where does passion come from? Whether it's with your customers, because someone said, I said, what's engagement? You said passion. That's right, energy. Where does it come from? And so we always look at most engagement models, they're political models. Probably no one ever told you that, you know, if you're using NPS scores, you have, you know, the promoters, the passive, the detractors. If you use pure engagement models, you have those that love you, those that swing, those that are disengaged. In every organization, you have customers that love you, you have some that are indifferent, and you have some that hate you. And I know it keeps you up at night. Why do they hate me? I'm trying to do so well, but I can't figure it out. But so where does this passion come from in organizations? And with your, where does it come from? Which group? Yeah, those that love you. That's pretty simple, right? I mean, it's like if you're trying to win in politics, and let's not get too much into politics, you don't go talk to people that aren't going to vote for you. Oh, please vote for me. You just don't understand. That's a waste of time. You wouldn't have spent any time with the disengaged. You spend your time with the swing group or love group. So, right, if passion comes from the love group, then and this is kind of the first lesson I want to leave to you today, whether it's your customers or your employees, where do you get the insights on how to develop engagement? So where do the insights come from? That's right. Who said that? Yeah, from the love group. Okay, so I go into organizations all the time, and they look at their voice of the customer strategy team, and I work with them, and then and the first thing I notice, where do I spend all my time in a meeting when they're trying to increase engagement? Some of you that worked in that industry, where do we spend 80% of our time?
All the things that are on fire.
What's that? All the things that are on fire. Well, that's interesting. So let me get this straight. If I want to understand the energy and emotion that's coming out of my company from my customers and employee, and I'm spending all my time here, does that make sense? So that's the first thing I have to do in a company, is that, you know, it's like 80% of the time, let's find out why people hate us. Let me count the ways. And I just said, okay, they hate you, let's move on. No, we got to find out why they hate us. I mean, someone hate us like this, and some of us hate us that way. Do you know, and I'm going to try to change today. This one concept is very important that I want you to understand, is that momentum is best understood through the eyes and the heart of your love group. So if you're going to get into understanding energy from your customers, stop spending so much time with the negative of your customers. You know, why didn't you have a customer experience? What's wrong? Because there's always going to be problems. There's always going to be processes that affect. But yet the people that are passionate about your organization, they get through it. They get through it. So, I mean, the first concept I want to talk about took me years to learn. And when I go into organizations, they spend all this time on engagement. And yet 80% of their time, I want to know, Give me 80% of your time on why people are passionate about our products and services. What they somehow forgive us for our weaknesses, right? And so we always communicate to the swing group through the eyes and the heart of the love group. If I want to increase legendary experiences with my customers, I'm spending 80% of my time with those customers that already feel it. I'm going to go, how did you feel it? How did that come about? What was the process? When did you first love us? And you know, people said, oh, that must be for fun products. I'm into technology, Gary. I'm into this. I'm into medical. People don't, you know. Okay, American Plastic Council. I don't have time to do that. But I show my executive groups, oh, okay, let's take the most boring product in the world, plastic. Can't be a love group for that. Yeah, who would love plastic? And then I stop and I say, is anybody out there in the audience ever say, thank God we have plastic? And then generally someone stands up and goes, yeah, I had a child that was born early, and they put him in a plastic incubator. And I thank God every day that someone developed plastic. I go, oh, there's a love group out there. How did you first, you know, when did you first start having more positive feelings about plastic instead of seeing the pictures where the turtles are going in and they're dying because of the plastic? We know that's true, but you know, I'm not going to spend all the time. I wonder how it got in the ocean. I mean, who put it in the ocean? And we spend hours trying to solve the plastic problem, when the reality, if we could have highlighted more why people are passionate about it, we'd be a lot further in developing legendary customer experiences. And I'm going to prove that today in a lot of scenarios in companies that I've worked with. So we understand passion and engagement from those that are engaged. And then we take those messages and experiences to the swing group. We understand people are disengaged. We acknowledge it, and then we fix them silently in the companies. Because if you spend all the time doing it, it's like a downer. Like, yeah, man, we really suck as a company. Let's just spend the whole afternoon and talk about that. And you don't get anywhere. It's everybody goes, yeah, I'm going home. I think I'm putting my resume out. We suck so bad, you know. So anyways, I want to talk about 4 ways. And really, and there's some insights into how you market and everything. 4 ways of how you align and create highly passionate brand champions. You align members' values and aspirations with those of the organization. You find a hurdle to jump over that other firms fail to do. You ride waves of momentum. I don't know if I'll get to that one, but I'll probably at least skip to the one. You find a Goliath to slay. Boy, Lee Scott, it's just a beautiful story, and I think Wal-Mart's kind of forgotten about it. But, and especially with millennials and that, you got to find a Goliath to slay in your organization. And when you do those things, you move forward by finding a higher purpose. And with your brand champions and your employees as brand champions. So let's go through each one. Employee engagement. So this is a framework I developed over the years, and basically it says that, you know, that we always look at engagement. We always start with what are the drivers of employee or drivers of customer engagement. It doesn't matter. They're both brand champions. And I want to point out one thing, is that all engagement drivers are not equal. In other words, you have to have, let's just take the employee side and I'll go to the customer side. You have to have a job fit. If people don't have the resources and skills to do what they need to do, you'll never get them out feeling valued and supported and fitting well with coworkers and inspired brand champions. So there's actually a hierarchy of doing it. You have to meet the basic things for people to be more engaged. It's the same thing. I could use this and turn it around to customer engagement. You know, someone said the product, you know, it has to be a product fit. In the very beginning, I like what the CEO Chrysler once said. We're spending all this money on marketing, but the reality is our products just don't work well. And I'm going to start spending more money on the product and get at least to a level that's adequate, and then I'll get to it. And he's done a good job in doing that a number of years. But so things down here are more important. You got to at least have that, you know, especially for millennials, they have to be clear how they contribute to the mission of the organization. So especially as you hire more and more in your marketing and strategy groups, you have to be very clear. It's not, I know we always say have a mission statement. It's not a mission statement. How do you connect emotionally with the people on your mission in your organization and move up. Probably the best company I ever saw do that was able to do this, they had a strategy. And they aligned so well their mission and goals of their organization to the people that they were able to get people with master's degrees stay on the phone and work for them for 4 years at below average salaries. And they were world class. And I can't use their name, but I can tell you they were world class because I know in our data they always came at the top. What did they do? The day they hired people is the day they fired them. In a sense, that's right. I know that's kind of weird. But the day they hired him was the day they fired him. What that meant was they would take someone that came in. I remember a good example. It was a mother with 2 children. She was a single mother. She came in for an interview, and they talked about, first thing they talked about is, what do you want to accomplish in life? What are you here about? Why are you even looking for the job? Well, I need a job so I can go to college, finish this, get this degree, and then you want to move on. Oh, that's great. Okay, let's stop the interview right there and come back 2 days from now. And when she came back, what happened? They had a plan, worked out her schedule at the local university on how, and it would take her 4 years. That's really nice if you're an employer. You know you got someone for 4 years. And said, this is a schedule that will get you a degree and everything, but here's what we want. We want phenomenal service. We want world class, because we know what you want, and we hope you know what I want, and does it work together? And these people would just be amazing service reps, because they actually knew that in 4 years when they finished the degree, the company expected them, and they were happy. We're just so happy to help you. Won't you be happy helping us? Aligning values and missions and that with the organization so is number one way to create engaged, passionate brand champions. And they've influenced the brand champions of your customers. Engaging people. It's all about alignment. And when you can do it well, it's just a beautiful thing. It really is. And that's the extreme, but sometimes our extremes, we learn something from them. But aligning. I know that one of the values we use in our company and why we've been able to grow so quickly in Exvoyant is that we have one of our big values, we co-create. We tell them the first day they hire you, you know, let me tell you what it's like to work for this company. We throw you in the deep end. You most likely are not that great of a swimmer, and we see if you can keep swimming. Is that something that excites you? And if they say yes, oh, okay, well, let's talk more, you know, and we co-create. Yeah, we're not going to just tell you what to do. We want you to help co-create what we're building. And that really inspires, because I really know that in any company, we're in the inspiration business, and it's through inspiration I get passion, and I connect emotionally. This one I really like is find a hurdle, and I think it relates more in your industry, finding a hurdle to jump over that other firms fail to do. So, again, I'm working at the more macro level, trying to say what I've seen in successful companies for creating brand champions, passionate. And this is the thing, they find a hurdle that other organizations fail to do. And let me kind of tell you what that is. What is that hurdle? So Zions Bank, I was working with Zions Bank, and they were trying to create momentum. And they just said, how can I create greater growth and development through great emotional attachment? The problem is when I consult with some companies, sometimes they say, they don't just let you consult and then leave. They say, okay, show us you can have impact on our bottom line. I hate that when they say that. I said, okay. So I said, all right, I'll take on that challenge. So we know you know, and it's great, and you get these warm fuzzies and get the people emotionally connected. Now show us it makes us money. It's okay. So what really drives passion and energy? So first, I want to see if I've taught you well in anything yet. Who do I focus on? So I'm at Zions Bank. They want more engaged brand champions in customers and employees, and I want to do both simultaneously. So the first thing, I'm going into Zions Bank, and I'm going to talk to who? The love group, the highly engaged. Oh, isn't that interesting? Most of you say, no, go talk to those that are disengaged and find out why they're disengaged. And then resolve those barriers and we'll get more engaged people. I'm telling you, that is the way 90% of corporations in America think. And it is a waste of time. I know you say, well, we got to solve them. I work with companies that focus on the other side of the coin. What are all the passionate things going on in the company and do more, instead of what are all the negative things on the company and try to do less. It costs you a lot of money to reduce the negative. It costs you very little money to enhance the passion. Just this really weird thing that I've learned over time. So you're right. I'm focusing on the love group. I'm focused on engaged. I don't even want to talk to anybody in Zions Bank or their customers that are not engaged. I don't even want to talk to the ones that are passives or somewhat disengaged. I go right to the engaged people where all the emotion and all the energy is. And what am I going to ask them? Why? Yeah, why? But people don't respond much to why because we're like psychologists. Why? Oh, you want my inner self. Yeah, what do you like? But I mean, it's true. You want the why, but we don't ask why. What led you to? Yeah, what? And so the question, I just said, describe an experience in the bank you've really found truly delightful. Just kind of like you smiled. And they go, because that's an emotion. And, and this was about in the 90s. By the way, this changed a lot of the industry in the financial industry from that finding. And I don't know, when are you truly delighted? And even in your companies, when you have with patients and everything, there's got to be things. I actually worked for a pharmaceutical firm to increase the loyalty of their patients, one of the top pharmaceutical companies in the world. And we really learned a lot of things. We did the same thing. When did you have a positive experience? Tell me about something that was truly delightful, something you didn't expect. And you know what they said? This is odd. When a service rep showed me how to better use my money, when I felt better and smarter. And I think it relates to your industry. It's not just about providing a service anymore in the industry. It's getting a takeaway that just blows their expectations beyond what they expect. We want to be educated anymore. We want to be smarter than we were before. And in the financial industries now, the minute we found that out, and I went back to the CEO and he says, that's not my job. I know you believe that, but that's what they're saying. It is your job now. You're into the inspiration business. You're into making people smarter than they were before. As a patient, as an employee, and that's your job. I mean, when at Discover Card, we were doing some things, and we found one of the things that highly engaged their customers was letting their employees give little workshops on their experiences and talents. And they go, well, that's not what we do here as a company. Oh, not yet. It's coming. And you know, one of the best workshops is one of the people there was in the Olympics in the bow and arrow, And she says, I'm going to teach a class on how to shoot a bow and arrow. And guess what? Half the company showed up. It's like, what? Where's all this passion coming from? Right? And they thought, I just don't know if that's my role as a company. And one of them was teach people how to manage money. Well, that's a personal thing. I know, it seems like it is. But the reality is, so this is a case when I felt better and smarter. So we thought about how do we make people smarter? Okay. So I want to strengthen that relationship between the customer and the brand. So I want to give them an experience with the brand, your organization, that when they come away with, they feel smarter about that experience. And so what we did is we developed, and again, it was kind of odd, we developed these seminars for their customers in which we trained them on how to increase their sales. How about that? What bank do you know? Well, that's not my job. Their job is to go make more sales and then put more money in the bank. Yeah, it used to be. Now your job is actually to help them make more sales so they can put more money in your bank. And so we started doing these pilot tests. And at the end of the seminars, so 6 weeks, we bought the customers lunch. And in fact, a lot of them said, can I bring this person who's not a customer of the bank, but they've heard such good things about this seminar? I said, oh yeah, that really hurts us to have prospects come in. I mean, sure, we'll let them come in. Okay. So you get the idea that I'm trying to create this link. And I've decided that when people are really passionate, they feel smarter. So I'm going to orchestrate now in my organization how I make people smarter. Simple tactic. And here's the thing. Not only that, I want to include employees in the bank because I want to also strengthen employee engagement. Remember I said I'm going to show you how to do both simultaneously? So remember we got here, I'm going to make them smarter through my experience. On the other hand, I'm going to let my customer or my employees, my brand champions inside the company, participate in making them smarter. And so what do I do? And I get passion because I get to give to customers. I get the passion back. In another financial industry, and this was a year of financial industry consulting, I did a credit union. We found out that most people for financial services, I'm sure you have no idea of all the variety of financial services are available. They just have a checking account, they have a savings account. They don't have clear any idea of all of them. So every time they'd come in, we started using employees and we did a relationship audit. Now, to some of you, that's cross-selling, but let's just call it what it is. It's a relationship audit. And they'd sit to customers and say, we just want to see, here's what you're doing so far, and that's great. How's that working for us? And here's other things we can do for you. Increase their revenue tenfold, 10x. Because, you know, that's another thing to do. Have you ever thought about, you say it's about relationship, have you ever thought about working with your customers and doing a relationship audit? Just, here's how I think we're doing, is that right? And here, can we do better? And here's ways we think we can do better, but we just wanted to let you know. So anyways, so we do these workshops, we tell them how to increase their sales, we bring people in, we bring their things. So I've done both things. I've strengthened by two ways. And of course, so you know, as you go through this process then, and just like we said, we focus on the engaged, we ask the question to the engaged people, we found a tactic that we wanted to build some resources on, we went out and did it, and then, you know, do we get that tipping point where all of a sudden we're creating more passion inside the organization, outside? And the answer is yes, because we won the Stevie Award for that project, simply because our performance variables were so high. The amount of profit we generated. Thank goodness, because I always worry about, does my consulting really make an impact, you know? So anyways, great experience. So let's review. Spend time listening to your brand champions, your customers, and spend the time with those that are truly engaged, not the others. And I'm telling you, I can tell you that, but you go right back to your organization and you start focusing on all the negatives. And it's okay to listen and to fix quietly, but don't spend your efforts. It's a waste of efforts. Because there's two sides of the coin that you can work on in a company. Focus on the passion and what brings more passion. Focus on the negative and try to reduce the negative. And I'm telling you, where you make the most money is focus on the passion. Okay, don't get tripped up in concerns of the disengaged, fix the worst problems quietly, never take your eye off the true mark, your brand champions. Always communicate to the internal and external stakeholders. So always very quickly. So ride waves of momentum is the other thing, especially good with millennials. I mean, here's a case that I think is kind of stupid, but it's still got some momentum.
Oh, come on, we can take them. It's a long way. Toss me. What? I cannot jump the distance, you'll have to toss me. Don't tell the elf. Not a word.
That's kind of crazy to be tossed in like that. And you know, just like the CEO of the one company, I said, that's not our job to have a seminar on how to shoot the bow and arrow at night. That's up to people to do. And I said, well, no, you're in the inspiration business. When we see momentum, we follow it. And here's another thing, it's the second lesson, all right, kind of the third issue here, ride the wave of momentum, is that when you see momentum in your organization, it's never optimal. It's like, I'd like to modify that a little, but you always have to go with it. It's okay to go with suboptimal solutions if people have passion around it. You have to also follow the passion in your organization, even though it's not optimal, to create highly engaged brand champions. So another thing I've learned is that it just thinks like, oh, there's got to be a better way. No, just go with it. He wanted to be tossed and fight, a million, people. Yeah, okay. He'll probably get killed, yeah. But you know what? If everyone's around that, let's go, Hopefully it's not an outcome. This one I really like, and this is probably a key thing, is finding a Goliath to slay, Lee Scott. I think it's one of the most brilliant, and this is someone I learned as a consultant from inside the company. And it was really such an astounding learning experience. It stayed with me all these years, and I wanted to share it with you because we're down to the fourth way of how to create highly engaged, passionate brand champions. And that is find a Goliath to slay. And so I know a lot of us, we're so busy in our marketing tactics and our strategies and trying to create engaged experience that we forget there should be an underlying purpose of everything we do, right? Because engagement's about passion. It's about emotional connection. You will never emotionally connect with your people just with your products, but you will emotionally connect if you combine products and services with a higher purpose. Then you will connect, and very strongly connect. And I'll show you this. And again, it's probably one of the best examples. So, Wal-Mart. Well, we all know Wal-Mart. They're always in the paper because, when they do something, the whole world, if they start using a lot, it's like McDonald's, they start putting shrimp on their salad, we have a shrimp shortage in the world, and Walmart's same thing. And quick facts, world's largest retailer, 405 billion. I'm sure it's higher. Employs over 2 million people. How are you going to create a Goliath to slay? And how do you engage employees at Walmart and their customers at the same time? I can't think of a more arduous task than to do that, right? And of course they have, Bentonville, how may I hate you? You see on these trucks, we sell for Satan, always. They have their problems just like any company. You have problems in your organizations. We all have problems. But so they could do two things, right? One is they could go, let's find out why people hate us. Wow, can you imagine how many months that would take? There's so many ways you hate us. Let's just get deep dive into, do you hate us for that reason? Or of course, what would I suggest? Why do you love us? Because there's a lot of people that spent $405 billion spent. Someone loves me. And I think that's a lot of love, to be honest with you. So I think I'm going to focus on that. So Lee Scott, he's not the CEO. And I think they've kind of lost because he's an individual that knew how to inspire. Great leaders are in the inspiration business and they understand it. And as I've worked with CEOs around the world, I can tell you that when you find one that really gets it, I'm just not here to lead, I'm to inspire. I'm trying to emotionally connect with my customers and my employees and create brand champions. So, due to the size and scope, he said this, and then I'll translate it for you. Due to the size and scope, we are uniquely positioned to have a great impact in the world, perhaps like no other company before us. True statement. Here's what he really means. Instead of focusing on why people hate us, why not give customers and employees a better reason to love us? I worked with a utility company last year before we sold the Allegiance company. And they were saying, hey, we're a utility company. Everybody hates us. I said, oh, really? There's no love group out there? Well, yeah, there's a few weirdos. I said, well, that's all I want to talk to. No, don't you want to talk to all those people that hate us? No, not really. So went out and found out that there's people that really do like their utility company and why they liked them. And I said, what we're going to do, man, we're going to find out why they like you, and we're going to take that message to the majority of your people, the swing group, who are kind of sitting on fences, and we're going to bring them over to the energy side, right? Not the dark side, but the light side. And so this is kind of what they did. He said, well, they started working on sustainability. One of my colleagues was involved in this because one of our MBA students that was working in this area called us up. and said, we noticed there's this wave of interest on sustainability. I don't know in your industry of sustainability, but you know, we know people like it. They don't do a lot about it, but they do like it. And it makes them feel good. Yeah, I'm really green. Name a green company. They don't know, but I'm really green. You know, I could ask you. So 83% of the people say we're extremely likely to switch brands if the new brand is environmental friendly. And the price and the quality of the products are. So given they're equal, I would switch to more green products. How many would raise their hand to that comment? Oh, okay. Yeah. And some of you didn't raise your hand. I'm wondering why. No, I want to destroy the planet. I'm one of those hate groups. I just hate everything. You know, yeah, but I'm sure you had your reasons, but I can't figure out why. but maybe you think because it's not true. But so they did. Is there a disconnect between awareness? 64% of the general population can't even name a green brand. Who can name a green brand out there? Seventh generation. Jeffrey Holland. Yeah, good. IKEA. Yeah, I think that IKEA would be, some people would say that's a green company, right? Okay. What else? Yes. What else? Tesla, yeah. Pardon? Yeah, Patagonia, yeah, for their hike and that kind of outdoor, kind of known more on that. Yes, that's right. Yeah, so that's good. I mean, this is like the most I've seen in a long time. Like, wow, this is a green audience. How come you're not wearing your green shirts, you know? 51% considering themselves environmentally conscious can't name a green brand. So if you tell me you are, you can't name. 40% of the general populace say they prefer buying green brands, but green brands only have a 4% market share. So there's a really disconnect between intentions and behavior. I remember when I was at University of Kentucky in Lexington, and when I moved to Utah, and I was thinking, well, where's the garbage can where I separate everything? We don't have them. Why? Oh, we got so much land out there, we can just throw it in a pile. I go, don't you? Really? And I mean, I got used to putting everything, papers and this and that. You go to Utah, no. And so then they said, oh, okay, if you pay us extra, you can put your, yeah. So if you want to be green, there's a price to pay in Utah. And I do pay the price. I want to be. So anyways, you do all this research and they say, why do you like being green? I know, what is it, the emotional connection? So sustainability is somewhat emotional. We know it's not behavioral, but it's somewhat emotional. And so they said, why do you like being green? Anyone want to explain, why is it important for you to look for products green? Yes?
You find a deeper connection with society.
Okay, it relates, how do you feel about society in general? Okay, good. Anyone else? The planet. Might as well save it. Why not? What do you got to do today? Let's just save, I mean, but no, I mean, yeah, I want to save the planet for future generations, that kind of emotional connection. Anyone else? Well, those are two good ideas. I mean, saving the planet, that weight's way up there. So anyways, I didn't show you all of them, but there's about 10 things that people say, and then they took the frequency of which they say it. So I'm making a difference. 53.7% of the population of the love group that are green, because who do we go talk to? We go out there, and those that shop at Walmart that are say and recognize, they say, I'm very much into sustainability, green marketing. Okay, I want to talk to you. Did I talk to the people that came in and said, crap, I don't care? Yeah, I really want to talk to you. Let's talk about I don't even care about sustainability. Oh, I'm very interested. Why? You know, so, and the other one's for better health. Kind of, you said you had the emotional. Some of the other one, I connect better with society. But I think the both of you are saying saving the planet, connecting, is I'm making a difference. Okay. Now those are two. This is the number one. This is the number two. Actually, it's significantly different if you look at percentages wise, so Z-scores and that. So, but I have to choose one. I have to choose a Goliath to slay. And am I going to go after better health? Or am I going to go after I make a difference? Both are reasons why people say they're into sustainability. Which one would you choose and why? Yes?
I'm making a difference.
Oh.
It's harder to change behavior with better health.
Yeah, better health. But I'm making a difference. Yeah, it's just the more emotional. You just feel the love. I'm making a difference. What's that? Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and it's a group oriented. I mean, this is an individual kind of, I'm making a difference. This is a group. Let's all work for better health. So even when you look at these issues that are hot out there, you still have to choose which one has a higher probability of emotional connection. And really, if you're gonna, if Walmart's gonna tackle this thing on sustainability, now, Lee Scott could have spent a lot of money on trying to reduce the barriers, getting the employees more happier, you know, maybe pay them more in compensation, you know, because we hear a lot of things, and and then hopefully there's spillover between employees. But what he did is said no, and this is actually his words: "I want to find a Goliath to slay." That's the first time I've heard that, and I go, "What?" No, I thought that he was slayed a long time ago. What, are we doing it again? He's to come back? You know, and then he said, no. So his Goliath was, Walmart is gonna push higher purpose, more emotional connection, that we are gonna allow you to make a difference by coming into Walmart. And we are gonna push all of our vendors, and they did push them hard, to come up with sustainability products, a Clorox product, a P&G, I mean, all these Lever Brothers, and to bring out products that really made a difference. And I was kind of surprised. And so let's look at Greenworks. And so these are the ads. And notice it hits right on core, is that it's not we're making a difference, you're making a difference.
Got this Greenworks cleaner for an amazing price at Walmart. It works just as well as regular cleaners, but it's made with natural ingredients, so it's safer for the planet and my family. But this is what's really amazing. If every Walmart shopper, all 200 million of us, bought a bottle, we could stop over 2 million gallons of oil-based chemicals from being produced.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Budget-friendly prices, earth-friendly products. Save money, live better, Walmart.
How does that make you feel? Warm and fuzzy? Because it makes emotional connection. Like, wow, you can make a difference. So it's right on target. What's the Goliath that he's slaying? We are the company. No, don't think about I work for Satan company, and how can I hate you company? But let's just flip the coin over and say, how can I create more passion, brand champions? Now, this focuses on brand champions, making brand champions of your customers. What do you think it does to the employees? Yeah, why is it they feel better? Why? They're helping people make a difference. So see, simultaneously, I'm finding a Goliath to slay. I'm giving a higher purpose in that, not only to customers, but to our employees. I work in a company that makes a difference. And you can participate and make a difference as a branch. It's a beautiful strategy. It's probably one of the most, and I see it over and over again in companies. And, like I said, there's 4 ways. Let's look at their other ad campaign.
This is a GE compact fluorescent light bulb. Didn't cost a lot because I got it at Walmart. It can save me $47 in electricity cost. $47 just by changing a light bulb. But here's the really neat thing. If every Walmart shopper, all 200 million of us, used just one bulb, it'd be like taking over 11 million cars off the road. That's a pretty big deal for a little light bulb.
Budget-friendly prices, earth-friendly products. Save money, live better, Walmart.
Okay. Again, right on target. You can make a difference. I know during this campaign, I said, let's change all of our light bulbs in our house to these earth-friendly light bulbs. Yeah, one room was $150 because you got all these lights coming down. It's very expensive to be earth-friendly. I can only emotionally connect so much. One room at a time is what we do in our house. Okay, let's go out and be earth-friendly again. But you know what I loved is there was an extra step in their employees during that time. Now, he's gone. And I think they've kind of lost the inspiration, to be honest with you, to what they had. You want to see the results? Again, Rhoades, don't tell us a good story. Show us one that makes money. So they called it Earth Day. They went out, low prices, live better, Greenworks, right? As someone said Greenworks is one of the sustainability products. The in-store impact, Earth Day, Earth Month in 2008. I mean, they put it all around the stores. Sales were 3 times bigger than Easter. I'd say that's pretty good. Anytime you can create a program and a fact that outsells a holiday, I think that's really good, by the way. And what did they do? They just found a Goliath to slay. And they found one that the customers and the employees bought into, and they said, it's cool to work here, and it's cool to buy from you, right? I mean, that's what we do in organizations, right? And so, kudos from business, redefined itself in terms of the Sam Walton would recognize its core values, save money, live better message. Kudos from the industry experts, leadership, sustainability has become the #1 image for Walmart during that time. And kudos from Wall Street, shares have climbed the charts in recent months. Shares hit a new 52-week high in May 1st, up nearly 22% from the beginning of the year. I'd say it was not just a good strategy. I'm saying that when you engage your employees and your customers together and align them, you really get results. And Jeffrey Hollander, 7th generation, do you know he wants me to comment? I'd never put my products in Walmart. Guess what? Why did he put his products in Walmart? Because he's buying in. He's drinking the Kool-Aid too, that even as a brand champion, even a champion of 7th generation, he gets it that if they've got a mission and they've got a goal and that's consistent with mine, I'm in. I'm all passionate about it, and I'm going to do that. So go inspire and get passion performance from your brand champions. And that's all I have to say. I'll take questions now for a few minutes. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, please.
So maybe I missed this part of the story, but how did Walmart find that particular Goliath? Do you know?
It was Lee Scott. I mean, he said, what are some of the things that people care about? I mean, the same thing like I did in Zion's Bank, and I used that example. We went out to the engaged. I think they went to some of the people and asked them, and they had a variety of things. And also he noticed that sustainability was becoming an issue. He wanted to find something that they could, when they move, they lead the world. And so he was looking out there and seeing what issues. And sustainability was a hot issue, and he thought we as an organization could really be a leader in that. And so I think it was externally and internally, and they looked at requests and things that got people excited. Does that make sense? There's so many things. I mean, making people smarter in the financial industry, even I think that's the same as in the healthcare industry. I feel pretty stupid when I go look at all the bills and things I get and I don't even understand. It's such a complex web. I mean, if you can make my life easier and make me feel more confident about as a patient and service, I think I'm going to be more loyal and more engaged. Does that make sense? That's why I used that example for this group. Does that help? Okay, other questions?
And while we're waiting, I can ask one.
Yeah.
So where did you try this and somehow it failed miserably? These people just weren't listening. Where would you say that the idea was good, but this organization wasn't quite prepared for it?
Oh, okay. I was going to say, usually if I fail, no one calls me back. But I can tell you, it's kind of a thing. So I was in Chicago. I was working with a company, and they called me up and said, yeah, we hear you're the passion guy, the energy guy. We want to increase the energy in our organization. I said, okay. So you know where I started. I said, who are your top performers that are highly engaged? I'd like to meet with them. So I went in, and there was this one woman. She said, and in her group, I met with her team, and they loved her. I mean, she was amazing. And she would, at evenings, she had to work till 3:30, but at 3 o'clock, her children got out of school, and then she would somehow have to go and pick them up and take them home because of the environment was, the safety issues. And she told me she was going to quit. I said, what? Because I've heard from everyone, she's like one of the, emotional mojo, passionate. And I said, why are you quitting? Because I need to get off at 3, and they won't let me. I have to work till 3:30. So then I thought, yeah, we can be a little more flexible to create passion in the organization. So I went in and I said, well, I'm going to work with this one team. And And I'm going to show you that two things. You can beat people. I mean, you know, if you want more productivity out of people, you can push them as far as they can, but they'll eventually hit a limit and then leave. But if you inspire people, their productivity just keep going up, right? And so, I mean, there's two ways you can get people to perform. Inspire them, connect emotionally, or just physically, you know, compel them. And most organizations still in the country are more in the compelling mode, where I suggest. And so anyways, I went into the organization and I added some, you know, passion factors like flexible working on this team. And I said, let me just handle this team, this group for a month. And I want you to look at their data on performance. And so what the team is, it inspired the team because they loved this woman to let her go at 3 and come back and then work from 3:30 to 4. So for a while, this team, and they had a productivity goal, sign on time and all that. So she would leave and come back, and the thing is, what do you think what happened to the productivity when she left? Anyone? Just guess. Maintain or went up? Went up. Why would it go? Oh, no, I know it's just like the CEO can't figure out. How can I be down one staff member and my productivity is going up? Because the other women in this group felt such a passion to help out this individual, their star, that they actually found a way to just kick up a level while she was out. So I did lots of other things, and I went back. This team was then their highest performance team. It was not in the top 10%, but it then became one of their top performing teams in the company. And I walked in to the CEO, and this was only in the first month. I was just coming and going, and I said to him, I said, okay, well, does that prove that if you create a little energy, your performance goes up? And he looked at me and said, Gary, what you proved to me is that I'm not pushing them hard enough.
Epic.
I said, well, okay, consulting's done here. Non-believer. You know, you got to believe that passion and emotional connection makes a difference. And all he believed was, if you can get them, if they can work harder when she's there, I am not compelling them hard enough. I knew there was no change in that company. It does, you have to have people that buy in at the top. Yes.
Have you ever had the opportunity to take a non-believing CEO and put him in the position of the employees he's trying to inspire?
Yes.
And has that worked?
Yeah, it's like the boss, you know, that, yeah, what is it? Undercover boss. Yeah, go out there. In fact, I tell them the best thing you could do is leadership is go in and sit down with one of your people and fail. They go, yeah, the boss can't even do this, you know. They love it. I don't know what they love about that, but, you know, so, you know, a lot of times put them in like an undercover boss and have them do that. We do the walk-arounds. You know, a lot of times I've been in companies where they have a high turnover, right? And that's usually where I go in. And I used to work on reducing the negatives. And then when I found out if I switched to increasing the positives. So, for example, retention was very high. But as I talked to the people that left, a lot of them said we wish they could come back because the grass wasn't greener. And so a lot of companies, you leave us, you never come back. I don't forgive. And I'm thinking, yeah, but they got like 10 years of experience or 6 months, man, let's take them back. No, that's wrong. And I said, well, so anyways, and I said, well, so what we did is we started getting some of those back. We made them, everyone left, they knew, listen, if you ever want to come back, I mean, you're great, especially if they're high performers, please. And then when they came back, we had them put their experience in a book. And we just kept that out in one area where anyone could go read. Yeah, I left, okay, what company you think going to? Page 5. All the employees that left and went there and came back. And boy, that really reduced turnover because it's like, you know, the grass isn't always greener. Yeah. Other questions? Good questions. Yes?
So we all, and maybe not all, but we all know about the problems with Uber, and it's very public in the news. If you had just 10 minutes, 15 minutes to sit one-to-one with the Uber CEO, what would you say to him?
Well, I don't think there's things I can say to him. I can't tell him, you know, you got to give an experience, right? You got to let him experience something. Telling, I mean, if I'd had the same thing, I'd do this, you know, here's 4 ways to align values and everything. I think the reality is you somehow got to give him experience where he sees through the love group. You know, those that love them, go in those things and give them that experience. I one time trained, I'll tell you a side story. I don't, how's my time? Is it? Pardon?
No, he has about 2.5, 3.
Okay, good. So, oh, there it is. 12:41, so almost at, 12 minutes left or?
No, 3 minutes.
Three,
Two,
okay,
3 minutes.
good. So I will tell you this, because it's a very interesting story. I took a summer and LG Electronics, one of their CEOs, they have like 3 or 4 divisions, they asked me to train him on marketing in the United States. Because as you know, the Koreans often come to the country and they start out with low brand, low quality. I mean, look how long it's taken Hyundai to get to the levels, right? And so anyways, he came in and I thought about, well, let me just tell you, don't come in with a low product quality, low price product in the United States. You got a brand's really important, right? Branding's critical. But I didn't want to tell him, so what I did is after about 2 weeks, I said, let's go down and see how your products are doing in the United States. And so we went into like a Best Buy, I can't remember what it was, whatever this company was like it. And I sat there and on the shelf, and by the way, does anyone know what LG stands for? Because I'll tell you, it's the rest of the story, you never know. You know them as LG. Lucky Gold Star. Who said that? That's right. So I knew them. I'll tell you the story why, in fact, it was my experience with them why they changed the brand to LG. Yeah, you say LG, life is good, of course. No, that's not what it was when he came and visited me. It was Lucky Gold Star. And so we go into like a Best Buy, and they had, you know how you have facings in a store. They had 3 facings, which was Sound Blaster. These were these CDs. And then another were HP, and then were Lucky Gold Star, which was LG back then. And by the way, LG Electronics is a very innovative company. They OEM most of the technology out around the world. They're really super. So they have 10 facings of their CD, competing with HP and Sound Blasters. Now Sound Blaster's $235, HP was $178, and they were $98. And so, and they paid the most for the facings. So I just took him in, I said, could we visit with this store manager? I'm, local faculty here, marketing, I have a guest. Oh yeah. Now he never knew that's the CEO of that product. And I didn't want to tell him because I wanted him to see it, And so the guy comes over, well, I said, well, which one sells the most? And he goes, Sound Blaster. And the CEO goes, whoa! 238, 98, right? And I said, yeah, and I'll tell him why it's selling more. Well, it's a great product, the quality's there. I said, well, what about this product over here, Lucky Gold Star? Yeah, it's a piece of crap. It's one of these Korean companies that send it over here in the United States. They're not very high quality. And and I'm, Ho-Jin, just relax. And he starts, in his language, saying a few things, and it's a good thing that the store manager didn't know. And then I say to Ho-Jin, I said, well, and you know why Ho-Jin was so upset? Because the product in the Sound Blaster was LG's product. They make it for Sound Blaster, their drive, and Sound Blaster gets all the money, and they can't even sell it for $98. So he said, why? What's going on? And there was more to that. I did that in 3 stores and 3 products. I said, because you entered the United States with a low quality brand. And and that's the worst thing you can do in the US markets unless you have a pricing strategy, and that's hard. So, you've got all this innovativeness. They lead in flat screen TVs. I mean, they lead in so many ways. But I said, you've already messed up your brand. This is what to do. So he went back that summer, and this was a number of years ago, and then he called me up and said, open the Wall Street Journal and look at the front page. And it had Lucky Gold Star has changed its name to LG Electronics. And they never, ever came back in the United States with the lowest price product because they realized that LG, you maintain a high brand. But there's, again, a good example of how I influence someone. I'm not going to tell them. I'm going to make it an experiential that emotionally connects, that they never forget. And that's why we have LG Electronics today. Life is good. And that's a much better name and a much better brand strategy. Okay? Thanks so much. Is that it? Time's up?
Thank you.
Okay.
Let's give him a round of applause.